up guys, it's Ethan. Welcome back to my channel. We're back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the supposed Apollo 20 moon mission footage, which has been spread all throughout the internet. First, I'll briefly describe the story, then we'll watch and cover the footage together. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All the links to everything we mentioned in this video will be linked in the description box below, as well as my socials, so let's get right into it. Alright, so the story around the Apollo 20 moon footage is that during orbit around the moon in 1971, during Apollo 15, they basically gathered some pictures of the moon's surface and seemed to have spotted something that looked man-made or not supposed to be on the dark side of the moon. Then, just a year later, they took some more pictures during Apollo 17 and realized something was up. Now, keep in mind, Apollo 17 was the last publicly known Apollo mission, and if the stories are true, then I suppose it makes sense that if they did notice something on the dark side of the moon, they wouldn't tell the public if it looked like a spaceship or a space station. They would not tell the public. Not only would they freak out, but the government does not want us knowing confirmation of aliens existing at all. Continuing on, so I don't know much about the details for Apollo 18 and 19, other than that they were cancelled due to budgetary constraints, and considering that they're said to have not even happened, and I'm not surprised. According to NASA documents, no crews were officially assigned to the cancelled missions. The normal crew rotation had the backup crew for a mission moving up to become the prime flight crew 3 missions later. And based on that scenario, the crews for the cancelled missions would have been these. These were based on the normal rotation, though there's no way of knowing for sure if these would have been the assigned crews. The crew we're told was on board this mission was William Rutledge, Leona Snyder, and Alexei Leonov. Rutledge, though many consider him to be a fictitious astronaut, he was the main person who was leaking these videos on the internet. Leona Snyder is said to be an American astronaut, but there's no record of her, and Alexei Leonov was a Soviet and Russian cosmonaut who actually was the first person to conduct a spacewalk in 1965, and I'm not sure if Alexei has commented on this before. Continuing on, so due to there being 3 cancelled missions, lots of spacecraft hardware was actually left over, such as the Command Service Module, or the CSM. Belonging to Apollo 19, it's actually on display at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. So some people have speculated that they could have used it to fake the videos. Moving on, so in April 2007, an account on YouTube known as Retired AFB uploaded several YouTube videos claiming they were footage of Apollo 20, a secret joint American-Soviet space mission from 1976. The individual identified himself as William Rutledge, a 78-year-old former astronaut now living in Rwanda. His videos show what seems to be the module for Apollo 20, as well as footage supposedly on the moon, a giant mothership, and an alien lunar city as well. And the corpse of what seems to be an alien girl nicknamed the Mona Lisa, who was found piloting the ship. Now, Rutledge's videos amassed over 2 million views on YouTube and then got removed. Rutledge claimed he was hacked, and then he moved his videos to a new account on referral.com. But that page is gone now too. He did an interview, which I mentioned earlier, with Luca Scatamburlo, an Italian freelance writer and UFO space exploration enthusiast. In the interview, Rutledge claims that Apollo 15 flew over the dark side of the moon and captured images of what seemed to be an alien spaceship, and claimed an ancient city was there as well. Rutledge said that Apollo 20 landed near the Del Porte crater in order to explore a large, cigar-shaped mothership which had apparently been abandoned for 1.5 million years. And with the spaceship, the astronauts found 2 corpses of alien beings, one which was found in the footage. He claims the female he and his crew found had 6 fingers. Sounding a little bit like the Nephilim to me. He said she had hair, but no nostrils, which is weird considering there's clearly nostrils on the corpse in the videos. He said that the corpse was in an animated state, not dead, and not alive. He said the alien girl was brought back to Earth and is still alive somewhere. But the only evidence I could find of this was this picture. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember where I found this picture at. Now, whether it's from a YouTube video or an article, this definitely resembles the Mona Lisa that he's talking about, and she does not seem to be on the moon. And I've only found that picture like 1 to 2 times, which indicates that it's kinda hard to find. That's a little weird. Continuing on, so an entry on wikibooks.org seems to indicate it was a hoax by a French video artist named Thierry Speth, who apparently admitted to making the videos on July 9th, 2007. Nevertheless, many UFO enthusiasts are still firmly convinced that Apollo 20 did happen. Now, personally, I think the story is a mix of fact and fiction, but we know how close those really are in terms of reality. Now let's dissect the footage along with the story, and we'll do the most important footage in the order of its release. First we got the city, and this video starts with a 20-second intro with a mission badge and patch. One of them is the National Aerodynamics and Space Administration, and the other is the Air Force Space Command. Then we see this black title screen, and it cuts to the video of a pan zoom from the ground up, aiming towards what seems to be a futuristic looking moon city. Next we see a glimpse of what seems to be the moon as the ship moves slowly. You can see some yellow or gold coloration, and I remember hearing someone say it was a mountain of gold near the ship. Interestingly enough, next video we see the supposed mothership from a distance, and they're still miles out, so that thing is huge. It's around 2.5 miles to be exact, which is absurd. Here's what these captions say in these pictures. I tried to do as good of a job as I could. So once it cuts over, we see what seems to be a distant shot of the ship as they slowly move closer while zooming in and out to get a better look. Now, this caption here says,
Vandenberg 20, Alexei is taking some metric shots with the Hasselblad frame count, 1019.
Which I guess makes sense because Alexei is one of the supposed astronauts on this mission, but if it is a hoax, then the hoaxer really must have put his time into this to make it seem as believable as possible. Continuing on, they keep zooming in and out as they move around the ship, and we see what appears to be holes in the ship, and one of the captions even says,
We can see meteor impacts on the body. The surface is crusted and covered with some dust. It's huge.
Then, next it says,
The ship is in bad condition. It must be here billions of years.
Moving on to the next video, the title screen reads, Apollo 20. The first thing we see is what seems to be a view from inside a Lunar Command Service module. Then we see right below the control panels, and there's two different patches in the middle. One appears to be a US and Russian joint flag, so if this is real, then there's a coincidence. Because this is from the mid-70s, which is around the same time when the United States and the Soviets basically united at the end of the Cold War. That was the US-USSR Apollo-Soyuz link-up in 1975. Below that, we see a patch reading Apollo 20. The three names at the bottom are the three astronauts we are told are on this mission: William Rutledge, Leona Snyder, and Alexei Leonov. Then we have this weird Latin sentence reading Carpent tua poma nepotes. I hope I pronounced that right. In English, that's translated to, Your grandchildren will collect the fruits of your labor. This quote goes back to the Roman poet Virgil. He composed three of the most famous poems in Latin literature: the Eclogues, the Georgies, and the epic Aeneid. Now, I'm not sure why that quote was used on the patch, but whoever made it must have been a fan of Virgil, or there is some hidden meaning behind it. Someone explained that Virgil is telling us to plan for the future, or essentially that hard work and careful management of our existing resources will extend to generations long after we're gone. In short, the quote is about long-range planning and that some things will take longer than your lifetime to achieve. It's another way of saying you should do your best to build the name that your descendants will inherit. Whether it's paying attention to and developing character and manners as well as good behavior, or if you just wish to build enough financial stability for you, your kids, your kids' kids, your kids' kids' kids, whatever it is, make sure you have a general idea of where you want to go and how you're going to do it. Now, getting back to the video, it cuts to an outside view of either the spaceship or this is just the moon, but there's a couple seconds later it does cut to a more clear shot of the spaceship, and it looks similar to the one in the earlier video. It appears to be a large cylindrical ship, resembling a submarine or even the giant hyperbolic asteroid known as Oumuamua, which was discovered in 2017 by Robert Rarick, but I'd say probably not, considering it's not even close to the size of the mothership. It would be around 75% smaller than the Apollo spaceship. Even at its biggest, the Apollo spaceship is literally 2.5 miles in length, whereas Oumuamua was said to be only 100 to 1,000 meters. Now, I'm not sure if that's a rough estimate or what, but that's not even close. Now, we can observe what looks like hieroglyphs or symbols on the exterior of the ship, but there doesn't appear to be a consistent pattern. And we also get a better look at those holes or craters on the top of the ship's exterior. All I gotta say about this is, if this is real, then this is not what I expected an alien spaceship to look like. Alright, so the next video is the beginning of the alien autopsy. It starts with a picture of a card that lists things like the date, the test, the cam, mag, lens, the stop. It starts with a clear shot of the Mona Lisa. It appears to be bones on her face, connecting her face to her eyes and her eyes to her pineal gland. Her nose has something leaking out of it, and we get a couple close-up shots of Mona Lisa's face, and even some close-ups of the eyes, hair, and the whole face, really. So this is where it really gets crazy if this is real footage. It then cuts to a video of someone using some tweezers to remove the bone things, or whatever they are. Next we see a shot of a piece of paper with writing that doesn't really look alien, but I don't know what language that would be. It cuts back to an above view at eye level of the Mona Lisa, and the bones are gone. It seems like they continued with the autopsy and are maybe trying to see if they can bring her back to life. I don't know. In the next video, we see a control panel inside the module, which is very similar to the other Apollo missions, along with an astronaut who could be Rutledge, Alexei, or even Leona, I guess. Or if it's fake, someone else. Then the frame moves over to one of the triangular windows, which I'm not gonna lie, it looks a little weird to me. Like, I don't know, when this thing looks outside, it just looks really weird, and then it pans down and we can see a body of the nicknamed Mona Lisa. Footage goes on and you can see more close-ups of the woman and her features. Her hair is braided, her skin has more melanin than a Caucasian person, even though it seems to be orange. Her body seems crusted or clay-like. No nipples on the breasts, and it's said that she had 6 fingers, and Rutledge noted that they probably would have had a different set of mathematics than we do. Since we only have 5 fingers, he presumed they would count as 6 and 12 as opposed to 5 and 10. Now there is more footage out there about the Apollo 20 mission, and I'll leave the links to those videos in the description box below. And now we'll take a look at the evidence for and against, starting with the evidence for it. Well, according to NASA documents and stills taken from Apollo 15 in 1971, they appear to show strange anomalies in the Del Porte-Isaac region of the south side on the dark side of the moon. A very unusual cigar-shaped object located on the edge of a crater can clearly be seen in the NASA photographs that are on their website, link in the description. It seems to be on top of the moon as opposed to a part of it, and it would be massive. Now Rutledge's video shows a close match for the object in both shape and size, but with more surface detail evident, it seems to be a stone-like texture and covered with intricate carvings and patterns that couldn't be natural. And it doesn't really seem man-made. If the footage is a hoax, then the creators took extra time to make it as mysterious as possible by avoiding the modern take of a shiny metallic spaceship. Alright, so continuing on, there was this article on May 5th, 2002 that reported on NASA scientists and engineers in March of 1996 who basically took part in the Moon and Mars exploration. They basically met in front of the Washington National Press Club to discuss their findings, and they announced that numerous man-made structures and objects were discovered on the lunar surface. The article goes on to say that there is mass evidence of abandoned cities. An unnamed mission control specialist stated, "Our guys observed ruins of the lunar cities, transparent pyramids, domes, and God knows what else." Then later took that statement back. And I think I know what actually happened here, but that's really a whole nother video in itself, but we'll get to it later. Okay, so now let's examine the lunar module in the video. So the opening shot, we see a shaky view of an Apollo command module hatch window. Now this does match with the hatch in the Apollo 17 mission, so there's that. We at least know the module is legit, or it's a phenomenal replica. Next we see a shot of some dials and buttons, then pans up to show a mission patch and flag taped to the console. Now we can confirm this scene somewhat, also because of how similar it is to this one from Apollo 17 seen here. And the mission badge show resemblance to the US-USSR Apollo-Soyuz link-up in 1975. We'll come back to this later. Next up, we got the lunar module with the Mona Lisa, and if you compare this compilation of screenshots of the LM in the footage to part of a composite image from Apollo 11's LM interior, you can clearly see it's accurate, and either it's an original or it's a replica. Now, with the footage of the Mona Lisa, I've actually found one standout piece of evidence that could essentially disrupt all of the mystery surrounding the story and Apollo 20 in general. Now, if this is real, this picture seems to be the Mona Lisa enclosed in a display case in perhaps a museum, but if this picture is authentic, then who's to say what really happened? What do you think? Where do you think this picture originated from? I don't remember if I got it from an article or a YouTube video or Google Images. Someone tell me. Now, I suppose there could be an explanation for this picture, but this literally looks like someone at a museum taking pictures of the Mona Lisa. Like, if this story is true, this picture kinda confirms it. Kinda! Now, all that was pretty convincing, but let's see what evidence there is against it being real. You remember the Moon City video? Turns out that's actually a composite of NASA photos and the artwork of Bruce Pennington. So that not only disrupts the credibility of Rutledge, but it basically confirms it's a hoax. But I'll prove it anyway. Continuing on, so it is true that they found some strange anomalies in pictures taken by Apollo 15 in 1971. They do appear to show something cigar-shaped that could resemble a spaceship. Now later, with more detailed pictures released, we can see it looks more like a weird-shaped hill or a mountain even. So there's the ship ruled out. Next, we'll go back to the command module. So while I did say it's evidence for, there is also evidence against pretty much all of it. So let's compare the hatch window to this one from Apollo 17. Now if we zoom in, you can see there's a big difference in the hinge holding the hatch door, and in the rotation of the handle. We'll come back to that. For now though, it's well known that each mission's CM and LM arrangements were slightly different. So, are there any mission photos of the CM hatch that show variations in the hinges? Well, you can clearly see the huge hinge attachment evident in the top right of both, and here's an example of one with the door open. Now, let's zoom in and compare. Notice the handle and its orientation? It's an exact match in the two images. Can you see how the base plate to which the hinge is attached can be seen once the closing mechanism itself is out of the way? The hatch would have had to be open for the hoaxer to get this footage, and by now hopefully you can tell why they match. Because they're the same. Whoever made this film must have stood in front of the hatch at Johnson Space Center, which is where the CM is on display, and it's actually Apollo 17's CM. You want more proof? Take a look below at the hatch window and you can see some areas with black writing. These don't appear on every CM door, but if we take a look at both and compare them, we can see that they are the same, if not a good replica. Let's compare those details to some other CM hatches as well. You can see this one from Apollo 11 has writing and a similar hatch, and the one from Apollo 8 has no writing but a similar hatch. These are unidentified ones on public display, and one of them has the writing, but the hatch on both looks similar. Then we got this one from Apollo 9, and I don't see writing, but the hatch seems to be the same as well. Now, the next scene we already went over, but let me tell you why it's a fake. If you look back at the picture I used of the CM from Apollo 17, you can see it also looks very similar to the one in the film, if not identical. We'll zoom in here, and I mean, if these pictures were brothers, they would literally be twins. You can see a clear blur in the same location due to obstruction in both images, as well as it appears to be taken from exactly the same angle. That's hard to deny, but it keeps going. Next, please diverge your attention to the middle there below the mission patches. You can clearly see 4 squares, each filled with text, and there's plastic tabs used to secure paper to the console. These can be moved as seen in AS-17. Now take a look at the picture of the tabs from Apollo 20 and compare that to this one from the magazine 163 image from Apollo 17. Notice how the tabs are in the exact same position in both photos. Another thing to point out, if you look at the top of the picture, you'll see whatever piece of paper is wedged into the console is being obscured by the same exact thing in the Apollo 20 footage. Moving on, let's look at the center where the mission patches are. Now, if you haven't heard of the Russian-American Apollo-Soyuz link-up in 1975, basically the US Apollo module docked with the Soviet Union Soyuz capsule. The handshake was a symbol of detente between the two superpowers during the Cold War, and it's generally considered the mark of the end of the space race as well. Now, if you're wondering why that's important here, let me explain. So we know Alexei Leonov was said to be on the Apollo 20 mission, which took place in 1976. So the US-USSR link-up happened in 95, and I'm assuming the hoaxer decided to place his mission in 96 for that reason. Along with the fact that in 96, Alexei was also assigned the deputy director of the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center, which leads me to believe the hoaxer was thinking, hey, Alexei just got back from space. He was the first guy to walk in space. He shook an American astronaut's hand and somewhat united Russians and the US, and also unofficially marked the end of the space race. Why wouldn't everyone believe he got picked for another US-USSR joint mission, where this time they're exploring a giant alien spaceship that crashed on the moon? Because it sounds just like a fucking movie, that's why. Roll the clip from Transformers 3, Dark Side of the Moon.
I have had confirmation of loss of signal from the Apollo 11. The Apollo 11 is, at the moment, on the far side of the moon.
Neil, you are dark on the rock. Mission is a go. You have 21 minutes.
I guess they would believe it because there's something attractive and appealing about the story that just makes you want to believe it. As well as the idea, I'm sure everyone's thought about aliens on the moon at least one time. Anyways, back to the mission patches. If you look at the one from Apollo 20, it does resemble the one from 75. The only thing that's missing is the mission name and the signature, which could easily be faked. Let me explain why. Considering that the hoaxer used this picture to fake part of the videos, we can assume that to make this joint mission patch, all he would need to do is add this little red hill at the bottom half of the flag, then add the symbol, and boom, you're done. Trust me, that's not a challenge, especially for the guy who made it, considering everything he's put into this. Whether he printed them and added them on, or added them in later editing, it's clear it's not authentic. What's more interesting about the flag, however, is how the tape lines up in both pictures. The yellow highlight shows how the tape is crossing a socket in the exact same spot. In red, you can see a clear pair of creases, and they are positioned with remarkable similarity to one another. Then, in green, we see several short creases and ripples, which are also an exact match. On the other side, in the yellow, you can see how the tape's in the same spot again, as well as the cutout at the top left. Then, in purple, you can see creasing as the tape is molded around the switch area, and once again, another match. We have far surpassed coincidence at this point, and my guess is they used the Apollo 17 picture with some crude edits to superimpose the new flag and patch. Now, some people will say, but Ethan, he's clearly moving around and you can see some depth in the video. And that's also easily explainable with what we know now. I'd say the images were printed out at a large scale and placed around a dark room to replicate the CM as much as possible, then film it in a shaky, found footage style by moving the camera around to add angles to give the illusion of depth. Well, there's so much left to debunk, but this video would literally be like an hour plus long if I did that. So if you're interested in seeing the rest of it broken down, here's one of the articles that I used, and the rest of them will be linked in the description below. Now let's address the elephant in the room, French artist and filmmaker Thierry Speth. Now you might be wondering who that is. We did mention him before, but if you haven't figured it out already, he's the alleged perpetrator or maker of the Apollo 20 footage. So Spiri made this book/film, which you can actually buy on Amazon if you're interested, called Apollo 20 The Unknown Mission. And I mean, after explaining all that, I'd be surprised if you didn't think Apollo 20 was a hoax. Now, I did actually find an interview with Thierry on YouTube, and he does actually shed some light on the backstory, his motivations, and how he made it, why he made it. So let's watch some of those. If you want to skip ahead, go to these timestamps.
There was one or two pictures from the Isaac crater with a strange cigar-shaped object.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
a real picture from the NASA. And
Yeah.
I saw this picture before making the movie, and it was blurry. And so I made the sculpture of the cigar because I
Yeah.
wanted to see it clearly sharp.
Yeah.
So the first thing I made is a huge sculpture of the object. I wanted to see it clearly sharp. I wanted
Yeah.
to see the original cigar.
So first he's explaining how the NASA footage from the Apollo 15 mission seemed to have a strange cigar-shaped object present. So he must have seen the pic somewhere or read about it and wanted to see it more clearly. Then I'm assuming he just thought of this idea and decided to add a story to the pictures.
Your photo editing skills are quite good, I think.
Yes. But Chad, you must know one thing. I don't recognize all the Apollo 20 videos on YouTube. Sometimes I see Apollo 20 videos which I didn't make them. Some are black and white with aliens walking. I didn't make them. And I had only one account on YouTube. And this account was hacked very quickly. And the
Oh, wow.
videos were pulled out. And my mail was hacked also
Oh,
on
wow.
Yahoo. So my mail was destructed, so I could not connect anymore. And I can still not connect to the
Oh,
retired AFD account, which still exists. So the
oh,
video
wow.
has been pulled out. Somebody pulled a new one about Nibiru, something. So a lot of things happened
Oh,
in
wow. That's
April,
amazing.
May. Yes, yes, yes. Because my password was easy to find. It was the name of my cat. It was visible on Facebook. So somebody tried it. It was Omega. So up,
Oh
no
my God.
account. Yes,
That's a crazy
there was
story.
a
Yeah,
lot of yes.
that was going to be one of my questions is how many video views did you have? But obviously, maybe you don't know because you didn't have
Yes, yes,
access.
2,700,000. The last
Wow.
time I was counting before they were deleted.
Then he mentions how people have added many extra Apollo 20 videos that he didn't actually make, like black and white or with aliens walking around, and explains he only had one YouTube account, Retired AFB, but it got hacked because of how easy his password was to guess.
A lot of people do not believe me because I have somebody in Japan.
That's the crazy
I
thing.
send to him. Yes, he is always writing, asking me the phone number of William Rutledge, the astronaut, and I always tell
Right.
him I don't have. It's a fiction. Believe me. 2 weeks ago, I took this. I made
Wow.
a print, a mold. It's
Wow.
like this, huh? So, rubber. Okay. This is the original head of Mona Lisa. I
Wow.
made a second exemplary. I sent to him in Japan.
You
And
sent it
the
to
print to be, and I wrote to him, I don't want to fool you. It's a fiction, believe me.
Right.
He's a biochemist. And he received the head. And 1 week ago, he wrote to me and he said me, it's a good replica of the head in the movie. I told him, it's not a replica, it's a head.
Right.
So, yes.
Next, he explains how there's still people who don't believe he's the maker of the videos, but when he put that Mona Lisa mask in the interview, all my doubt disappeared 100%. He even says he sent someone a mold of the mask and they still didn't believe him. That just shows how well done of a job Thierry did, or it proves that there's just people who are really trying to believe in this type of thing, and once they've seen it, they can't really accept it as fake no matter what you show them. Exactly like flat earthers. And apparently William Rutledge was just a random guy in his spam box who was trying to sell him Viagra, and Leona Snyder was a woman trying to sell him a pill that enlarges your penis. He said he used these names because they're just random, ordinary names.
William Rutledge was a
Yes.
guy in your spam box who's trying to
Yes.
sell you Viagra?
Viagra. And the girl, Leona Snyder, wanted to send me a special pump to enlarge my penis. It was the second message in my spam box.
Oh my God. Okay, so we have to do
Yes.
another interview, and you have to show, or just send me the files later. Send me a screenshot of the, if you have it, if you can find it, that would be
No.
amazing.
Because
it's
it
gone,
was
yeah?
on my Yahoo account, and my
Oh,
Yahoo
okay.
account was hacked. But I didn't make it. When I'm writing fiction, I always find
Yeah.
my names in the spam box because they are using ordinary names. And
Right.
I didn't know, but there was an original William Rutledge in the NASA. There is a foundation William Rutledge in the NASA. I ignore all
Wow.
this, but there are Rutledge everywhere. But later, I have made the whole story of Leona Snyder, which is a big story. She comes from Rwanda. She make herself pass for a boy to study in Europe. And
This is
then,
the black woman?
yes, the black woman.
Okay.
In my book, she is Leona Mukasano. She make herself Léon Sano to go to Belgium, and Léon Sano becomes Leona Snyder when she has American nationality.
And another thing making it more clear to me is Rutledge and Leona are said to have been from Rwanda, which is literally where Thierry lives. That alone was kind of a dead giveaway that something was up, especially since there's no NASA records of Rutledge or Leona.
Right. If there's a video on YouTube called Apollo 20 Debunked, and a lot of the things that they're trying to debunk is the cockpit of the spaceship, the inside of the spaceship. So can you tell us a little bit how you created those scenes?
Okay. I had problems to create this scene because I made the full cockpit in full scale.
Wow.
As big, yes, in wood. It's still have the pictures about this,
Wow.
and it was too big. Now it's destruct. I only kept the panels with the switch.
Yeah.
So one part of the cockpit is real full scale, and another part is made in 3D. I have used a match moving program to mix them. If you want to do something, yes, you have to mix little model, huge model, and 3D. It's a mix of the three.
Yeah.
And there is a character filmed in front of a green screen. It's a mix of 4 different techniques. Yes.
So how did you recreate the panels?
Oh, the blueprints are easy to find. It's a plexiglass with perforations, and I had a lot of switch. So I still have the picture. I can show them if you want. I can send them.
Yeah, I definitely want to see. In the next time or whenever, I would definitely like to see. You're saying you have pictures of the structure that you made in the woods. That would be amazing to see that, and anything about like the panels. That would be great to see.
I will print them so I can show them here.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, this could be a nice series. I think people would like to see and share and learn about this story, and we can open it up a little bit so people can, understand, what's really going on here.
Okay. If you want, I think I have the panels in my basement. I can take them if you want.
Oh, really?
Yes, or maybe the next time if you want.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. That would be amazing. I think people would love to see that. Can you tell us about some of the actors in the film? I think there's just 1 or 2 people, right? Are you in the film, or?
Yes, I am Leonov. At one moment, I had a rubber mask of Leonov on me, but no.
So you had a rubber face mask?
Yes, I have sculpted the face of Leonov, and I like in the movies. But no, the videos.
So this next one should shed some light on how he created the movie scenes. He said he made the first cockpit at a full scale in the woods. Then he destroyed most of it because it was too big, and he only kept the panels with the switches. So one part is made at a full scale and the other is in 3D. He said he used a match moving program to mix them together. So you have the match with the little model, huge model, and the 3D. And then he said he added that there was a character in front of a green screen. So it's technically 4 techniques altogether. He also said that recreating the panels was basically done by printing them out at a large scale using NASA blueprints, and then placing them on plexiglass around a dark area. He was also the only actor in the film. He played Leonov with a rubber mask on. He also mentioned that the spacesuit took an hour to put on, and it was pretty similar to NASA's spacesuit, which I kinda doubt. Maybe in looks they're similar.
You can see our 3-dimensional characters. I have the big spacesuit, but it was too complicated to film myself inside the spacesuit because it is made exactly like the original. It was the occasion for me to have a full-scale model of the spacesuit, and it takes me 1 hour to have it on me.
Oh my God!
Because it is made exactly the same straps, etc. 1 hour to go inside. So I can put it on next time only the front part, but it's painful to go inside. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
So many actors like Leonard Snyder are 3-dimensional actors.
Right.
It does not exist. I have the 3D model on my screen. Yes.
Right. So you're the only actor in the film, and you're wearing the spacesuit, and you're wearing some kind of mask that you made.
Yes.
Some kind of rubber mask or something. Do you still have that?
Yes, I have. I think I have the old Leonov mask. Yes.
That would be pretty cool to see that. Can you show us the Mona Lisa again and tell us a little bit about her and does she have an actual name and maybe just anything you want to share?
Yes. This is a face used in many parts of the movie. So there was 3 different heads. One with cybernetic stuff on the head. I still
Yes.
have it in my basement. And I don't know why I sculpt. Many people say that she is Asiatic. Maybe. I don't know. But she's... it's a complicated series of layers because I wanted skin, shiny skin, and the lips.
Yeah.
There are hair. I took some part of hair.
I thought
These
she looked...
people think,
Yes.
I don't know why I put here this thing. Many people, I saw a German guy who is making study about this part. I don't know why I made that. Sometimes
I thought she looked very like Egyptian-like or very
Yes.
African face.
Yes.
And a lot of people about the kind of third eye thing. Like, there's so much speculation about it.
Yes.
What can we say? It's just too much to speak about. But and then the interesting thing was how you had the bones. You had the bones over the eyes, right?
Yes.
And going with the mouth. Now you said there was 3 different masks. So I see a picture here, and one of the one with the bones, her mouth is open.
Yes.
I see.
It's a freaky mask.
Then he says Leona Snyder is a 3D actor. In his words, he has the 3D model on his laptop. Another look at the Mona Lisa mask, and he talks about the different masks in the film, and he mentions how these things weren't bones, but Q-tips, as many people suspected. And he talked about how he didn't want to make a traditional film like most directors. He basically wanted to create a film that was meshed with reality, making it much more interesting. Alright, so at this point we've covered just about everything relating to the stigma around the alleged Apollo 20 mission footage. From the cancelled NASA Apollo missions, the Apollo 15 stills of the ISAC crater, which is where this all originated, the Apollo 20 footage, story, and background on what happened, dissecting the most important videos and pointing out the flaws as well as what the creator did well, explained how a French artist named Thierry Speth made the footage, further elaborated on his thoughts, ideas, and inspirations for making the film, from an interview to even finding a spiritual connection with some valuable life lessons. Now, I know there will still be people claiming everything I said was wrong and that the mission was real, but personally I think the evidence against outweighs the evidence for it. Except for this picture. I still don't have an explanation for it. I could not tell you. I don't know I don't know where it came from. And that's the beauty of the US. You can think what you want, and we're losing that freedom, so let's hope for the best. If you're interested in learning more about the Apollo 20 mission story, even after all that, there will be links in the description for YouTube channels that posted the video footage, or articles that talk about the story. And I'll put Thierry Speth's book/film in the description in case anybody wants to buy that as well. I have not bought it, if anybody's wondering. So now you know just about everything there is to know about the Apollo 20 moon footage and story. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, as I had a really fun time making this and learning about NASA and the Apollo missions. It was really quite interesting. So, question of the day, do you think the Apollo 20 moon footage was a hoax, or do you still think that there's some hidden truth out there, and why? Also, if you got value out of this video, please make sure to smash that like button. It really helps with pushing the video out to more people, and I do all the editing and research myself, so I really appreciate all the love and support you guys give. So with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, as always. Don't forget to hit that like button if you did enjoy, subscribe for more content, and hit that notification bell if you want to stay up to date with new content. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I post pretty much daily on those, and it's honestly easier to connect with you guys through those as well. And lastly, if you want a stock valued all the way up to $500, click the link in my bio to sign up for Robinhood. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.